Welcome to LDS Missionary Moments. In this interview, we'll be speaking with Todd Anderson about his mission in Moscow, Russia. In part 1, we'll be talking about receiving his call, his experiences in the MTC, and leaving for Russia. We hope you enjoy. So, Todd, kind of for everybody that doesn't know you out there, let's get a little bit into who you are. I mean, you've basically lived in Sacramento your entire life, is that right? How long have you been around?
I've been in the area my whole life. I was born and raised in Woodland, 40 minutes out. And then I moved here the summer of my sophomore and junior year. But yeah, I grew up with my family. My dad was a dentist. I'm one of 7 kids. I'm number 5.
Number 5.
So were you weren't the first missionary to go out then, or?
No, I've got 2 older brothers, 2 older sisters.
Cool.
I always anticipated. My dad served in Chile. My oldest brother served in Argentina, and the other one served in Mexico. So by law, I have to go Spanish speaking.
Right.
So let me ask you a question. Did you study Spanish in high school with anticipating?
All 4 years.
4 years?
1 year in college.
4 years of
Anticipation.
Spanish.
And they sent you to
Moscow, Russia.
Okay, we're going to get into that in a second. Let me ask you a quick question about you growing up.
Okay.
Did you always want to go on a mission?
Yeah.
From how old? Give me your earliest memory of wanting to go on a mission.
8. My baptism.
Okay. Why?
My dad, just being the good influence he is, just like, hey, you got 1 step down, and then you're going to go to the temple, then you're going to go on a mission, then you're going to get married, and then he goes on and on and on. But I remember him just saying, just like, oh, that's the first step, and now the next one is actually getting out and going. It's like, oh, right. Okay.
Well, not to get too far into it, but at some point in time, we all know we have to make our own decision. Can you remember the exact time it was? It was no longer your mom or your dad's decision, but your decision.
Yeah.
And what was that?
That was when I'd moved to Sacramento. Because the reason we moved was because things changed in the family situation. Anybody that knows me knows at least a little bit about it.
right.
But just so that everybody does know a little bit, they understand where I'm coming from, I'll go ahead and explain a little bit. So my dad was a dentist, and he was accused of some things that had happened, and he got a jail sentence, and so we left the city just to get away from all that.
Sure. Yeah.
Some people believed he was guilty, others didn't.
Right.
But people will believe what they ever want to believe.
Certainly.
Pust будет. It's a phrase in Russian, just like let it be, whatever. Just
Right.
Sure.
forget about it, move on. So that's what I did. And as I was sitting there thinking, just like, snap, what's up with this? Like, life sucks. But I realized just I'm never alone. Never will be. And that's when it just hit me. I came to Sacramento, had no friends, didn't know a soul. It was in summer too. So, school hadn't started. I had the occasional friend at church once a week, but then the rest of the week I was just by myself doing nothing. And so I really left a lot of time for thinking, like, why? What is this? How?
Sure.
So you eventually
that
decided to
definitely helped,
go.
so.
You eventually decided to go. How old were you when you finally went on your mission?
I was 19.
19. Okay. When I say finally, you made that decision, and then you went when you were 19.
Decided at 16, saying that, like, all right, I finally got my relationship with Christ. I found out with all that thinking time, like, all right, snap,
Right.
there's actually something there that exists, and I can't let anybody else go without me at least trying to explain it to them. So that's when that really clicked. It's like, all right, well, I got to do this.
This might be a little bit too deep, but do you think, given the situation, you felt either more connected or more prepared to go out and serve a mission than maybe you would be without having lived through that experience?
Oh yeah, completely.
Really?
I think about that all the time. I'm so happy that it happened. Like, as weird as that is. As weird as that is, I'm so happy my dad went to prison. Like, whew, like, that sounds so weird, but
Sure.
But it made you grow up a little bit, huh?
I turned into a man. Fact of the matter, just I had to help mom with certain financial issues. I came having to look for a job. Didn't come right away because I'm a 16-year-old in high school. It was tough to find a job, so I took summer jobs as what I could. Went to a ranch and worked there for a summer.
Cool.
Did lifeguarding and whatnot. But yeah, it helped a lot, and I'm really grateful for it.
Well, let's jump in to you applied for your mission. How quickly did you get the answer back?
You mean my call?
Yeah, you applied, and how quickly did the call come?
Have you heard this story?
No.
Go ahead.
Okay.
To be honest, we haven't heard many of these stories at all, and
No.
and probably most of the people that are watching haven't. So feel free.
It's a good one. So, summer job. I'm doing summer sales in Midvale, Utah.
Okay.
What were you selling?
Pest control.
Okay.
Sucked.
Awesome.
Don't bother.
What?
It was terrible. I mean, don't bother.
All right.
Obviously, we're never going to get sponsorships from any pest control companies ever.
Sorry.
But it sounds like it was a character builder.
Yeah.
Okay.
It helped me suffer. So I finished up the missionary papers. I did the interviews by Skype with the stake president here in Sacramento and sent them in. Midvale's like 10, 15 minutes from Salt Lake.
Sure.
2 weeks passed, nothing. I'm like, all right, here we go. Like the 2 weeks, the minimum, here we go. I'm getting it this week. Third week, nothing. Okay. So I call up Bishop Hanson. I'm like, hey, my call's not here yet. Like, what's up? He's like, oh, hold on, I'll give him a call. He calls them, calls me back and says, yeah, they sent it a week and a half ago. Oh, okay. All right, well, they're sending another one just because they don't know what happened to that first one. Okay.
Sure.
Another 2 weeks, nothing. I call him again. What's up, dude? Like, it's still not here. He's like, are you serious?
You sure my address is right? Like,
And so they check it again. I'm still getting mail. Like I bought a GPS from eBay and it came to my mailbox in my apartment complex. Like it was working,
right.
but for whatever reason, I didn't get my call. Not once. So eventually that's happening. It's been about a month and a half now. Still no call. I get a call from my parents. No, they'd called me, left a message. I was at work, so I call them back as I'm driving home because in Utah you can talk on your phone. It's not illegal.
Right.
So
Times are changing.
So I'm on the phone. I'm like, hey, Mom, you called? She's like, yeah, I've got a message you should listen to. Puts it on speaker, presses play on the answering machine, and some lady's like, hi, my name is so-and-so from the Missionary Travel Department regarding Elder Anderson going to Russia. His travel papers have been sent back to us. Please give us a call back to verify the address. So from an answering machine, I found out I was going to Russia.
Wow.
What mission? I still don't know. Okay, so
Hold on. That blows the typical
Right.
opening the paper in front of everybody.
The normal-
And the video, the elation that normally comes. Yours is a backward situation from the word go.
Wow.
yeah, I'm happy though. I'll be honest. I'm a little disappointed I didn't get to open it.
Sure.
Skype or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But still, I got a good
You
story
got the
now.
voicemail from the random travel lady.
Yeah. So that happens. I call up the missionary department. I'm like, this lady told me I'm going to Russia over the answering machine. Oh, she shouldn't have done that.
Oh my.
The cat is out of the bag.
She's fired. Okay, so they didn't tell me what mission still. I verified my address. They have the right address. It's not coming. Weird. And so still don't have it. They sent another one. In the meantime, my sister's getting married. They're having the reception in Sacramento, so I fly home for the weekend. I come home and I say hi to Bishop as I'm walking up. The first time I've seen him 4 months or so, and
Right.
he's like, "Hey, you're going to Moscow! Congratulations!" What?
Oh man.
It's further getting ruined, isn't it?
It's worse.
And he's just like, "Yeah, like the church sent me your information that you're going to Moscow."
Wow.
Well, I guess I am. Thank you. And then he announced it that day in soccer meeting. I'd like to congratulate Elder Anderson, who's going to the Moscow, Russia mission. I stood up and people, ooh,
Did the Relief Society tell you what day you were leaving? Was she the one who found out?
I still did not know. No.
Wow. That's crazy.
And I never, ever got my call on the mail. I had to go to
Never.
church. I had to go to church headquarters in my pest control suit. Just like, hey, I need to get my mission call. And they're like, oh, it's you. Okay.
They knew.
We've been trying to do this. Did you have
Did
like
you
a
sign them
dog?
up? Did you sign them up for a contract with pest control because
No.
they felt so bad?
No.
Oh, that's
no,
too bad. Somebody
But
owes
literally,
you.
they handed me. Man, church headquarters. They got some top of the line security. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I'm sure.
Sure.
But like I go through, they've got my wallet. I'm walking with an armed guard up this like elevator or whatever, and
Right. Did he handcuff you too?
no, it wasn't that bad. But you know, he had like a security card for the elevator doors. Like,
Right,
it was
yeah.
typical stuff. It was cool. Go up to whatever floor it was. Doors open. I walk like 5 steps, and they're like, "What do you need?" Here to pick up my call. Like, oh, Anderson? Yeah, okay, here you are. And I walked back into the elevator and left. Simple as that.
So, but outside of that, you never found out what happened to any of the calls? They just disappeared?
It never appeared to my
Interesting.
mailbox.
So let me ask you a question. What was the reaction? What was your reaction? First of all, you hear that you're going to Moscow. Granted, it's from the bishop, almost over the pulpit. What was your reaction to that? Oh my gosh, it's not Spanish speaking.
That hit a little later, but my first reaction was just yes. Like, I'm so happy because in the application part they have additional comments. I'm like, well, I do have Ukrainian ancestors, and I would love to go back to Ukraine or Russia. And I remember putting that just like or Russia off to the side. Right. So I wanted to go to Ukraine initially, but
that's pretty cool.
I'm completely content and okay with.
So with all of that Spanish background, you took the risk and put on your application that it's okay. It's okay. It's okay to go to Russia.
Yeah.
All right.
That's fantastic.
Did you feel that inside when you were thinking about that?
I'll
wrote it down.
I'll tell you what. There was one time. It was like 3 a.m. I just finished playing Call of Duty, and I realized I hadn't read my patriarchal blessing.
Of course, that's the best thing to prepare for a
right?
mission, Call of Duty.
Right. This was before I'd ever even applied.
Okay.
Jumping back a few years. Yeah, and I hadn't applied yet. I was just playing Call of Duty, and then the thought, like, I haven't read my patriarchal blessing in a while, came into my head. I was like, okay. So I grabbed it out of my journal, started reading it, and I just, like, bawled when I started reading about my mission. And I was just like, please send me to Ukraine or Russia. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, I'll go Spanish if I need to, but I don't want to. And the entire time I'm feeling a little guilty, like asking and asking and asking, because I've been praying, since I was 16 to go to one of the Eastern European countries.
Okay.
Cool. And then that same night, just when it was like 3 a.m, I just got a big, like, all right, fine. Stop asking. We'll send you there. And so I wrote that in my journal, like, I'm going to either Ukraine or Russia.
Back then.
Wow.
It's written in my
that's
journal.
really neat.
That's really
so
cool.
here's the next question. What was your mother's reaction?
Oh, she was terrified.
Really?
She still is.
Because how much did you guys really know about Russia or missions in Russia before you got your call? Anything at all? Really?
We just knew that they were tough. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. You get your mission call. You have your farewell. How was your farewell?
It was good.
Farewell, for anyone who doesn't know, is a time during one of our church
Wish you
meetings
luck.
where you speak. You kind of give your your farewell. See you later. This is what I'm going to go do. This is who I am. How was that?
I liked it.
Yeah?
The topic was tough. I think you're the one that gave it to me. I don't remember.
You think I'm the one that gave it to you? I might
Probably
have.
was at the time.
But it was the culture of Christ.
That probably wasn't me.
I don't know. It was. I had to think
Might
about
have
that.
been like, what does Christ do on Saturday before he gets ready for Sunday? That would have probably been my topic that I gave you. But nonetheless,
it was the culture of Christ. I had to think about that for a while about like what it really meant. But it's totally true. You've got different cultures when it comes to actual nationalities. Russian, Mexican, American, whatnot.
Sure. But let me ask you this one last thing. Do you feel like you were prepared to go?
To an extent.
Yeah.
In certain aspects. Like, I feel I was mature enough to go. Did I know enough about the gospel? Maybe not.
All right.
Right.
But
that's probably something that I think most people feel. You're never going to be 100% proficient at everything you need going out, even to the MTC. And it's funny because like when you leave, I mean, for me especially, I felt like I knew I was less prepared leaving at that point than I did when I actually left for my mission. I could pick out my deficiencies better. Did you feel like that was the case at all for you? Looking back on it,
I knew I wasn't ready completely, but I didn't know why. And then
Yeah.
MTC definitely helped me realize, like, all right, well, this is what you need to work on, and then get to the field. Then it really just hits you in the face.
right?
So
Well, before we jump into too further, any prior to getting out into the MTC, which is the Missionary Training Center, any other anxieties that were going through your mind as far as
Health concerns.
were you leaving a girl? Were you do you know what I mean? Was there any anxiety, language anxieties? Was there any food anxieties? Was there anything that you were just like really worried about prior to saying goodbye to mom and dad and everybody else?
the one that I had, because I'm 100% mama's boy, was the fear that mom was going to die on my mission. Just I was just like, oh man, what's going to happen if that happens? What am I going to do? Like, oh, snap.
Right.
But I remember my mom, like I brought that fear up to her, just like, Mom, I'm so scared. Like, I don't want to be gone if you're dead.
Your mom's a healthy woman.
Well, I know, but it's
That's
still
so
a fear.
funny.
It's still a fear of mine.
Right.
It's
Sure,
like,
irrational as it may
always,
be.
you know, Satan does everything he can to make us tough, right? So I remember telling her that. I was just like, if you die, I don't know what to do. She's like, you know exactly what to do. You are not coming home. Oh, okay. She's like, what are you going to do if I die and you come home? You're going to sit here and cry and clap your hands together with everybody else. Go out there and do something with your life. Don't you dare come home if I die.
Oh, so everyone knows.
All right.
Your mom's a very loving woman. You make her sound really harsh, but your mom's a very loving woman.
And well, and too, I had a couple guys whose dads did pass away on their missions, and that's
Exactly.
really hard. But
Right.
but you're right. With that concept in mind, what are you going to do? You're going to go home and be sad with everyone else. But at the end of the day, what you're doing as a missionary, by comparison, is probably far more valuable to any parent that their child continues to do that.
So we're going to jump.
Okay, that's long enough.
All right, so Todd, you've left Sacramento. You're on your way. You're going to the Missionary Training Center. You get there. What's your first impression?
Wow.
Really?
There was a lot of elders there, and it was just, well, and sisters too, but it was just so many missionaries. It was incredible.
Right.
And my parents didn't fly out with me. I flew out alone to Provo, well, to Salt Lake, and my brother, who lives in Provo, picked me up, and I stayed with him for a night, and then he dropped me off. And that in itself was just a nice experience. Got to give my older brother, a blessing, and headed off. And
Was it traumatic
It was just-
leaving family? Because your brother drops you off, at the curb now? Is that what they do?
yeah, they don't let anybody go up to the actual campus.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no introduction now where, parents go to the left and you go to the right. It's all just like, adios. Here's the bus stop.
What did you think about the Missionary Training Center? What did you think?
Not gonna lie, I was a little cocky. Just
Really?
get in, just like Russia. You're going to South America? All right.
So you guys felt superior? You think the Russian missionaries felt superior to the other
Everybody
missionaries?
feels superior in their own mission. Like, that's just what it is. Like, your mission is better
You
than
think
anyone
the guy
else's.
going to South Dakota feels superior? Nothing personal, South Dakota. I'm just saying.
Was there any country in particular that, like, the Russian missionaries versus ex-country
Anyone
missionaries?
Spanish.
Anyone
speaking.
Spanish, really?
You felt superior to anyone Spanish.
Because they fought with us in the MTC. Can we move on to this? Like,
Yeah, let's get right
Go
into
ahead.
it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
here's what. So I don't know why. I'm not sure where it started from
stacked
or
a
with
huge-
whom, but when I got there was already this feud going on. I forget who those families were in the olden times who were always fighting over each other. No one.
The Hatfields and the McCoys?
one.
I thought you were going with Romeo and Juliet.
No.
But
Hatfields
Hatfields
and
and
Capulet.
Hatfields and the McCoys
Montagues.
with the Russian speaking and Spanish speaking. That's exactly what it was. No one really knew why it started, but it was there. And so we would
Did you...
just prank each other
You
all
would
the
prank
time.
each other. Well,
They,
let's get
they
into
lived
that.
above
Really?
us. They lived above us. We lived below them, and it was fun
All right. Good, clean pranks.
for the most part.
All right. No hard feelings.
No.
All right.
That's good. It's best not to get too deep into some of those things. You get that many young guys all together, so much testosterone, it's a bad
Did you end
bad
up-
situation sometimes.
Did you play basketball against them, volleyball against them? There's kind of a time to play sports.
Yeah, we had sports, but we didn't
Was
have
it the Russian
we didn't have-
missionaries versus the Spanish-speaking missionaries?
Nah,
Blood feuds?
unfortunately, when we had gym, we didn't have the Spanish speaking.
Okay.
It was just us and the English.
For us, it
But-
was Foursquare. That was our most competitive sport in the MTC. And
You need to stop.
I know, right?
You need to edit that. Really. So, tell me about your teachers.
Okay.
How many teachers did you have?
I went into the MTC November 14th,
Okay.
and I was there until February 4th. So
You were there quite a while.
I had the entire holiday season, so we actually went through a good chunk of teachers because some would leave for holidays, some would come back in, whatnot.
Do you have
Sorry,
anyone
teachers,
that
but I don't
you remember in
I
particular?
remember Sister Wrigley, just because she was fun and told us her entire life story, like all the time, would tell us the drama she's going through with her boyfriends and junk, and it was fun. But
That was the fun part.
but yeah, and then I had Oh, snap.
It's
What's
okay
his
if you
name?
can't remember.
I can't remember his name. I feel so bad now. Oh, man.
What impact did they
But-
have on you, though?
They were just friends. That was the biggest thing, you know? It's like you look at the difference between like a school teacher and these MTC teachers. School teachers, they're for the money, you know, they'll help you on a problem when you need to, but you know, when they're stressed and they're donked out, they're just like, you're annoying me, sit down. Like, ask your neighbor. But these MTC teachers are just like, that is what they're there for. They want to help us. Yeah, they still get paid, but I mean, it's tough stuff, you know.
And generally, like a lot of MTC teachers are really passionate about it. You know, the program to get in to be an MTC teacher isn't particularly easy. So a lot of them are just like the really fiery return missionaries that want to come back and teach. When learning Russian in the MTC, because that was 12 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. So that was before they cut the time frame down. Not to jump into getting into Russia, but by the time you left the MTC, where did you feel like your language skill was?
I was fluent, of course.
Oh, of course you were.
You felt you were fluent.
And then I got to Russian and realized I wasn't.
So give me on a scale of 1 to 10, before you left out of the MTC, you thought you were a 8?
I'd say yeah.
An 8?
Just because, you know, we're speaking with other missionaries.
Right.
Sure.
And it's hard to be humble when there's so many things to be humble about. But, you know, speaking with other missionaries, I felt I had a upper hand on the language.
It was all your Spanish.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know, rolling the R's and everything, you know.
Sure.
But
First day in country, where did that number go to? Went from
1.
8 to 1?
to 1, yeah.
Like, why did I even bother?
As soon as you realize that your general topics of discussion have now separated from religious to now you need to ask how to get to someplace.
That was exactly what it was. Like,
Yeah.
we get into Moscow airport. We were in Sheremetyevo. That was the name of the airport. We fly in.
Hey, this is a family-friendly program.
And we're going down the escalator, and we're like, all right, guys, like, we're here. Oh, we can't speak English. Shh. And we realize we can't say anything else at all. We're just like, oh.
You weren't allowed to speak English?
No.
Okay.
And so
Was that more because of just the fear all of a sudden of speaking with
little
Russian
of both,
fluent
yeah.
Russians, or was it actually you just really froze up and didn't know what to say?
well, just like you said, we knew gospel Russian. We could bear our testimonies and tell people that God lives.
Right.
But we didn't know how to get from this terminal to that terminal and find our mission present with the car waiting.
Right.
So we just wandered around for a bit until we eventually found our way out. But
So good. I mean, I think we all remember our MTC teachers. They were impactful in our lives, and it sounds like yours were as well. What do you think about the food?
it was great until about week 9 when you realize, like, all right, you've had everything 5 times.
And it all tastes the same?
You know,
And it's crazy how good they feed you too. I mean, they don't skimp, and there's
It's
a reason
not.
why a lot of missionaries bulk up when they're there.
it's not bad food at all. You just get tired of it. That's all it
Right.
is.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to jump into your mission.
Okay.
And the airport's probably one of the best places to start with that, because you already kind of talked about getting out of the airplane and not knowing what to do. What was how many missionaries did you fly over with?
8.
8.
And was it a 17-hour flight to get to Moscow?
All combined, it's something like that. It was about 5 hours from Utah to New York, and then from New York I went to Moscow, and that was like 12.
Wow.
Or so.
Okay.
Did anybody ask you on the
10.
plane, why are you going to Russia?
Um,
Did you have that experience of talking to somebody on the plane?
I did, as a matter of fact. The first thing that was just awesome, you know, from Utah to New York, and no one there.
Right.
And then New York to Moscow, we had like 15 minutes to get off of our plane and get onto our next one. So we were all running as fast as we could. We were rushing. And
All right, but
yeah.
we'll throw that in there for you.
I won't edit that one out.
You've used that a number of times.
Of course.
Okay.
And so we get into the terminal and everyone's rushing. And, you know, we're thinking, okay, we're going to be very cultural. So we've all got our big coats, and it's like we look like Pillsbury Doughboys, and we look ridiculous and hilarious just because everyone else is just wearing regular clothes. We're like,
Right.
oh, okay. And they're all just staring us down. Like, who are these nut jobs?
This is in the airport in New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're all going to Moscow. So the
Sure.
majority of them are Russian. So we get on the plane. Fun. this sister and I sat next to each other, and we actually sat next to the piano player for
I think
Boys to
that's
Men.
called a date, but you go ahead and continue to tell your story.
we actually sat next to the piano player for Boys to Men.
Really?
Wow.
The actual singers, they were in first class, but the musicians were in third with us. So we sat next to him. Way cool guy. He took a Book of Mormon, and he wanted to add us on Facebook. We had that awkward, like, oh, we don't have Facebook now.
So this was the one
What? Why
time,
not?
your one moment of rubbing shoulders with some celebrities, some band members, and then you couldn't add them.
And I can never get a hold of him again.
Now you can't go back.
Yeah. But that was that guy. He was cool. He passed out quick, and just took some sleeping pills and put in his headphones. But then towards the end of the flight, we had to fill out some documents from flying into Moscow. So I just nudged like the lady next to me. No, I was on the aisle. She was like,
How big is this plane? Because I'm thinking most planes.
It was one of the 3 seats, 5 seats, 3 seats.
Okay.
So it was
Okay.
Big international.
Big plane.
Yeah,
big
yeah.
plane.
Yeah.
And so I nudged the lady. It's like in front of me to my left, and I just in very broken Russian asked her like, what is this? What do I do? And she grabs the flight attendant, and they start to explain things. I was like, okay, cool. Broke the ice. Got it. Pulled out a Book of Mormon. It's like, have you heard of this one? She's like, no, what is it? Like, it's another testament of Jesus Christ. Obviously, like, read it. And she's like, oh, that's cool. I'm Russian Orthodox. And turned around. I was like, have you ever been to our church? She's like, no. Do you want to? No.
Welcome to your first time of rejection.
And
on the plane.
That's how I left it. I was like, okay, well, thank you for your help. Hey, no problem. Yeah, no. But